Hey guys, Bella here, and I rarely film in my car, but I just had a lot on my mind today to talk about. I lost my grandmother over the weekend, and she has struggled with diabetes for her entire life. Before she had passed away, she had her toe amputated a couple years ago, and she had her leg amputated within the last 6 weeks, and then she eventually just kind of succumbed to everything. So she didn't die necessarily from diabetes, but I guess from the complications of diabetes and other health problems. But I wanted to talk about in this video why I think that you should go ahead and get on a GLP-1 if you do have certain risk factors, if you have been struggling with obesity for your life like me, and like my grandmother. So I'm 30 years old, and so I know she was diabetic at least for my entire lifetime. And I remember her checking her sugar. We would sit on the porch and drink a coffee, and she would let me prick her finger. I know that sounds, I guess, kind of weird, but probably some other grandmas have done that, and I didn't really understand at the time what exactly we were doing. She just always told me that we had to keep checking her sugar. Going through that experience, I realized like that must have been something that she dealt with day in, day out, and never really shared like how hard it was for her. But it was something that, you know, her sugar would drop, she would feel really bad. Her sugar would get too high, she would feel bad. And so it was a constant battle for her. Diabetes is something that obviously you can develop as a result of being overweight. Some of the risk factors for diabetes are having a family history with diabetes. So in my case, my grandmother had type 2 diabetes. My grandmother on my mom's side had type 1 diabetes. So I have it from both sides. So that is one of the reasons why I was so serious about like getting my health under control, because I knew that the way I was going was not a good way to be going. And I've lost about 40 pounds, and I think I've significantly reduced my risk of developing diabetes. I used to feel like a lot of pressure to eat every 2 or 3 hours. That was my day. I was constantly hungry, and I don't mean in a way that you're like, ooh, I want a snack. It was real tangible hunger that I felt about every 2 or 3 hours. And I do believe that if I didn't start taking Ozempic when I did, I probably would have continued to gain weight, and I just felt terrible. And so I guess moral of the story is I don't think that you should wait for something to get worse to start treating it. And I know that the medication is not necessarily widely available with insurance coverage, but if you don't have insurance coverage, you can get the medication as low as like $249 a month. One thing that I do is I use a telehealth company to get my medication. That's the amount of money that I'm willing to pay to basically not develop diabetes and other further complications. With that amount, if you use the telehealth company I use, which is Fridays, they do a lab panel for you, and the labs are included, and so you will get a benchmark of like where you are. I think it's really important to get labs done at least once a year, because having high cholesterol is also a risk factor for diabetes, so in high blood pressure as well. So if you have any of those factors, you're just more likely to develop type 2 diabetes. I keep wondering what else we could have done for my grandmother, but to be honest, drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy, like they're the same thing, they're semaglutide, but they weren't really on our radar up until the last decade. Semaglutide has been used and approved for 15 years at this point. So semaglutide is the active ingredient in Ozempic. So acting like Ozempic is new is not necessarily accurate. It's more new for weight loss purposes. But you know, you'll see a lot of people complain about, oh, I can't get the drug because these people are using it for weight loss. There's a huge debate on that on the internet about celebrities being on it. But when we look at the science behind Ozempic, the main thing that you'll see is that it basically improves like all health measures. So your inflammation, your addictive behaviors, your obviously your hunger, it basically keeps the food in your digestive system longer, which allows you to feel full for longer. And so that was my main thing, was I would always feel hungry. And so from taking this, I've really regained like a new relationship with food that doesn't revolve around like what I would call like lack. So like I don't feel like I don't get enough. So before, I would always feel like I never had enough. There was no amount of food that would satisfy me. Even if I binged, a couple of hours later I would probably eat again. So now that I've been on this drug for 2 years, I've really been able to see like the significance that it's played in my life. It didn't happen like all at once. It definitely happened over time, to where I was like slowly seeing my relationship with food change. And looking back at my grandmother, she ate a lot of sweets. I love my grandmother, but she definitely ate like a lot of food that a diabetic person shouldn't eat. But now I'm like, if she had like a drug like semaglutide, maybe she wouldn't have felt so compelled to do that. And she was overweight for my entire life, and I just remember like seeing her struggle with it. And also, like, I think she was really cautious about talking about her weight and her diabetes in front of me, because she did not want me to worry about it, which I think was like so selfless on her part. But I was still worried about it, and I did still know about it. And so if you have like young ones around and you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, just use it as a teaching opportunity, I guess, to educate them on like how they can treat their body and things that can develop. And I don't think being overweight or obese is necessarily something that you did wrong, but it is more like your responsibility to take control of your health to fix it. And I know there's a lot of people who are like, well, my insurance won't cover it or whatever. Make sure that you have exhausted all of your appeals processes with your insurance company before you give up on it, because there are a lot of people who don't realize that you have to put in PAs, which are prior authorizations, in order to get a drug like semaglutide or Ozempic or Wegovy covered. Fridays, the company that I use, actually has an in-house team of people who are dedicated to communicating with your insurance for you. So they know what to say, they know who to say it to, they understand the process, and it can be difficult. I know personally I've dealt with a lot of denied claims. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama, and they're so specific about the claims, and they've denied me a lot of times, and I've had to get my doctor to call back and like recode things. So if you don't know about insurance codes, basically everything has a CPT code, and you can look up any CPT code. Just type it in, the number and then CPT code, and you can see exactly what your doctor billed for. So if your doctor is coding things wrong, that could be a contributing factor to why your stuff is not getting approved. That's something that you kind of have to take accountability for in the current healthcare system that we're in. I know it sounds ridiculous to have to do their job for them, but I'm telling you, like, any care that I've received that has been like beneficial to me, I have done a lot of the legwork for not only the physician, their front desk people, their administrative people. I don't really know what they do other than answer the phone, because they certainly haven't really helped me. If you're lucky enough to have a doctor's office that actually cares, I would definitely hold on to them. But going into 2025, I don't think starting Ozempic is going to be something that you regret. I think if you don't do something and your weight continues to kind of be the same, and you're counting calories, you're staying active, you're doing everything, that could be a sign that you do have other metabolic issues that contribute to you not being able to lose weight. I know for me personally, I have PCOS, and I recently got another ultrasound done, and they told me that I have like a cyst on my ovary, which is like great. I've had cysts on my ovaries. It can be painful, but it's another way that basically your body is holding on to this weight. Stress level, chronic pain is something that I deal with. I have a lot of like PTSD from childhood. I just have a lot of reasons why it would be difficult for my body to lose weight, and reasons why I think my body might try to hold on to extra weight because it's constantly stressed. But I just wanted to make this because I feel like this is a new year. My grandmother passed away on the 5th of January, and I haven't stopped thinking about her since. And I know that whenever someone passes away, all you really think is like, what else could I have done? What could I have done differently? Like, I know you can't really go back, but you're like, I just wish there was other resources for her. I wish that somebody would have said try this or try that. And obviously it would not have helped at this time, but it could have helped 10 years ago, and it could have even probably helped like 5 years ago. So I guess what I'm saying is that if you've been thinking about this and it's something that's been on your mind, I would just do it. I mean, you don't have to tell your friends and family about it. You don't even have to go to an in-person doctor. You can do telehealth. I'll put all the links in the description below. You can use my code BELLA and get some amount of money off, $20 usually. For me, losing the weight was really, really good, but also just losing the feeling of constantly being hungry, I would take that over the weight loss. But I've been able to better focus on other aspects of my life since being on Ozempic, and I do think that there will be more and more studies coming out about how this drug impacts people and the positive effects that we're seeing from it. I'm not like shilling for Ozempic, I'm shilling for semaglutide, which is basically just a peptide. So look into that, look into the science of that, because you'll see a lot of different like clickbait articles about it's dangerous and this, that, and the other. But just keep in mind, those are from news outlets. If you want real tangible information, I would look at like peer-reviewed scholarly articles that aren't funded by big pharma. So make sure it's independent, not funded by like Eli Lilly or Novo Nordisk or any of those. I just can't express my level of frustration with people telling me they're in other countries and Ozempic is $150, and where we live, Ozempic in America is like $1,200. So the discrepancy to me is just criminal. The healthcare system we're in is criminal, and I could rant about this all day, but what I want to leave you with is saying, like, do not wait on things to get worse. Do not wait on you to have a Hail Mary to, you know, have your health change. You can change. 2025 is a good time to make a change. Even if you don't have the resources, you know, maybe we can figure something out. We can look in the comments and kind of talk to each other. I know personally, like dealing with insurance this whole past couple of years, I've really learned how to navigate. So if you have any questions or anything like that, you can let me know below. If you've lost weight with Ozempic and you've either stopped it or you've continued it, I would love to hear about that. My current plan for 2025 is to continue on with my same dose and just continue on using this medicine as a tool. I don't even care if I lose more weight in 2025. I just genuinely do not want to go back to feeling the way that I felt. I don't want one day to have my granddaughter lose me to something that was completely preventable. And I want to just live the best life I can, be healthy while I can, you know, move while I can, eat while I can, like just have a life that is full and a life that doesn't make me feel like every day is a struggle. And so I really hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I wanted to be vulnerable with you and talk about that because I just remember everything about my grandma this week and she's gone. So I don't know. It sucks, but catch you guys in the next video. All the links in the description below.